Hello, how you guys doing? James here. Hope you're doing well. Uh, I decided to take a little break from the political stuff and maybe do something different with this one video, and I thought this was pretty interesting. You know, with everything is getting out of whack, uh, with the politics and everything, and with the political climate that we're living in, and it's just everything's turmoil. Everybody's trying to find something to blame something on. But I thought about uh, I was pretty impressed with this one couple of content creators and what their information is on. You know, going for a vacation out the country. I'm gonna start with Virtual with Brian. Sometimes you just need
Finally getting financials. But it's real. Imagine a country saying, hey, if your ancestors were taken from here, come on back home. That's exactly what Benin is doing, and it's turning heads among black Brazilians, and it's about to do the same for black Americans. Now you're probably thinking, wait, Benin, where exactly is that on the map? Well, it's in West Africa, smack dab on the coast, with a history that's both haunting and hopeful. The country's rich history includes being one of the major players in the slave trade, and this new initiative is all about healing those centuries-old wounds. Benin's offering citizenship to Afro-descendants is more than just a government move. It's a symbolic olive branch to the diaspora. And hey, who doesn't want a piece of land where your ancestors once lived, right? But let's be honest, this isn't just about the feels, though let's face it, that's already pretty powerful. The country is actively creating opportunities for people of African descent to reconnect with their roots. So why wouldn't black Americans with ancestral ties to Benin start paying attention? This isn't just a symbolic gesture. It's a chance to build new opportunities, land rights, and even a fresh start. With the government now rolling out a program that helps citizens reclaim ancestral land, it's like a new chapter for the African diaspora, and it's only just beginning. The best part? Benin offers affordable living, making it an attractive destination for those who want to start fresh without draining their savings. Looking for a spot to buy land or invest? Benin's cost of living is lower than many places in the West, meaning you're likely to get a lot more for your money. The best part? You get to be part of a nation that's working hard to right historical wrongs while looking forward to a brighter future. Now, this doesn't mean you can just show up, buy a mansion, and call it a day. Benin's job market isn't exactly booming yet, so you'll need to bring something valuable to the table. Whether it's skills, entrepreneurial ideas, or just a willingness to dive into the cultural vibrancy that Benin has to offer. It's all about getting involved, learning the ropes, and building your own path. Benin's move to offer citizenship to Afro-descendants is one of the most forward-thinking policies on the continent, and it's creating buzz for good reason. Black Americans with roots in Benin, or even those looking for a fresh start, should definitely be paying attention. Ready to answer the call? There's an entire history waiting for you to explore, and who knows, you might just find yourself calling Benin home. Number 8. South Africa. South Africa is the land of shocking contrast. Modern cities surrounded by sprawling nature, a booming economy, and a deep cultural heritage that's just waiting to be explored. And let's be honest, who doesn't want to wake up to views of the Table Mountain in Cape Town or grab a bite at one of Johannesburg's top-tier restaurants without draining your savings? Yeah, South Africa is serving up some serious black American appeal, and it's not just about the good vibes. Let's talk about Cape Town and Johannesburg for a second. These cities aren't just about stunning views and history. They're quickly becoming global hubs for business and innovation. Want to launch a new startup? Johannesburg's got the infrastructure and the support system for young entrepreneurs, while Cape Town offers a creative scene that attracts expats from all over the world. South Africa's growing middle class and stable economic environment are a recipe for success, but you're not paying Western prices to get there. So if you've got an idea to chase, why not chase it in a city that's both affordable and thriving? But don't just take my word for it. Look at the stats. South Africa is leading the charge in Africa's tech boom, with both Cape Town and Johannesburg ranking high in terms of business growth. Companies are pouring in and opportunities are everywhere. The cherry on top? Black Americans are finding a welcoming community, with growing numbers of us choosing South Africa as a base for a fresh start. Whether it's the vibrant art scene or the multicultural vibe, there's a place for everyone. Now let's talk quality of life. Imagine living in a city where you've got access to the latest in infrastructure. Yes, South Africa has all the modern amenities you'd expect, yet you're just a quick drive from breathtaking nature. Whether you're into hiking, surfing, or just chilling on a beach that looks like it was painted into the landscape, South Africa doesn't disappoint. And let's be real, living here won't cost you nearly as much as you think. Your US salary will stretch much further in South Africa's cities, so you can enjoy world-class experiences without worrying about high rent or excessive bills. But like anywhere else, there are some challenges. Crime rates in certain areas have been an issue, but don't let that stop you. The reality is, many cities worldwide have their darker sides, and South Africa is no different. The key is doing your homework, picking the right neighborhoods, and being smart about where you're living. Once you've done that, you're golden. South Africa is also making significant strides in racial equity, though it's still a work in progress, which makes it a bit of a mixed bag. The great part? The diverse culture means there are plenty of spaces where you're accepted for exactly who you are. So are you ready to make your move to a country that's all about opportunity, adventure, and diversity? South Africa might just be the fresh start you've been searching for. Whether you're looking to build a business, dive into a rich cultural scene, or just live life on your own terms, this country has got you covered. You'll get top-tier experiences at a fraction of what they cost back home, with the added bonus of a welcoming community of fellow adventurers. Who knew paradise could feel so welcoming? Number 7. France. France isn't just the land of croissants and couture. It's been a sanctuary for African Americans seeking refuge from racism for generations. Who wouldn't want to swap systemic oppression for a cafe on the Seine, sipping espresso while strolling through streets steeped in history and culture? Paris, in particular, has long been the go-to destination for those looking to escape the limitations of the US and find a space where Black identity is celebrated, not sidelined. Let's talk about Paris, the city that has practically rolled out the red carpet for Black culture since the early 20th century. In fact, Harlem Renaissance legends like Josephine Baker and Langston Hughes made Paris their home, and they were far from alone. The city has a rich history of intellectualism and art, and Black Americans have historically found both artistic inspiration and intellectual freedom here. Can you imagine being able to walk in the same streets as those who shaped culture in ways that still resonate today? Yeah, I'm not crying, you're crying, but it's not all just about the past. France continues to be a beacon for those seeking a new start. The country is known for its inclusivity, and its significant African diaspora community makes it a cultural melting pot. So, if you're tired of feeling like an outsider in a country where you're constantly told you don't quite belong, France offers a completely different vibe. It's not about fitting in. It's about being you, authentically and unapologetically. And don't even get me started on the quality of life. France is home to some of the best healthcare in the world, no more stressing over medical bills, a robust public transportation system, goodbye traffic jams, and a lifestyle that actively encourages slowing down, enjoying good food, and embracing the beauty around you. And let's be honest, how much of our lives have we spent running around like hamsters in a wheel, trying to keep up with the grind? France invites you to finally take a breath. Now, before you start packing your bags, let's get one thing straight. Racism still exists in France. It's not a utopia, but the difference lies in how it's handled and the general attitude towards diversity. While the US is still grappling with systemic issues that seem impossible to solve, France has made significant strides towards inclusion. But, like anywhere, it's all about knowing where to go and what to expect. The experience of being black in Paris may not be perfect, but it's a lot less frustrating than in some places back home. So are you ready to trade the noise for chic? To swap the stress for joy de vivre? France doesn't just promise a new place to live, it offers a new way to live. You'll find a community, indulge in rich history, and sip wine on cobblestone streets with a view of the Eiffel Tower. France is waiting for you. What are you waiting for? Number 6, Colombia. Colombia is quickly becoming the go-to destination for black Americans seeking a fresh start abroad.
That's true.
Forget the old stereotypes. This country isn't just about coffee and mountains. Medellin and Bogota are emerging as top spots where Afro-Colombians and black Americans are finding not only community, but opportunity. And let's not overlook the rich Afro-Colombian heritage that runs deep through this country's veins. So, why is Colombia suddenly on everyone's radar? First off, let's talk about the cost of living. You know how you're constantly looking at your bank account back home, wondering why the numbers never add up? In Colombia, your dollar stretches a lot further. Medellin, in particular, is known for its affordable housing, great food, and, let's be honest, an atmosphere that makes you feel like you're on vacation every day. So, what if you could live in a country with a high quality of life without the high price tag? That's Colombia in a nutshell. But it's not just about the cost. Colombia is attracting a growing community of digital nomads. Got a remote job or running your own business? Medellin is the perfect place for you. The city has been dubbed the Silicon Valley of Latin America, with plenty of co-working spaces and an entrepreneurial vibe that encourages people to start new ventures. Just picture yourself sipping a fresh juice on a terrace while getting paid to do what you love. Sounds like a dream, right? But in Colombia, it's a reality. Now, let's not forget the culture. Afro-Colombian communities are thriving, especially in cities like Cartagena and San Basilio de Palenque, the first free town in the Americas. These areas boast rich musical traditions, dancing, and festivals that highlight the history and culture of African descendants in Colombia. If you're looking to immerse yourself in a community that celebrates its roots, Colombia's got you covered. It's like reclaiming a part of history while living in a modern, welcoming country. But hold on. Before you start packing your bags, a reality check. Colombia isn't perfect. Like any other country, it has its share of inequality and social challenges. You'll need to be smart about where you live and stay informed about the local environment. But with its growing black expat community and strong Afro-Colombian culture, Colombia's got an authentic vibe that will make you feel at home. We are halfway into the countdown. If you are enjoying the video so far, hit the like button, subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian, and ring the notification bell for more informative content. Let's get back into it.
I'm a mechanic, and I've been hearing a lot of people talk about this new diagnostic tool called Fix. I'm a little skeptical.
Brian, and ring the notification bell for more informative content. Let's get back into it. Number 5, Costa Rica. Costa Rica is like the ultimate getaway, but not just in the typical beach vibes and pura vida sense. Sure, it's got those, but Costa Rica is also a top destination for black Americans seeking more than just a break from the grind. It's where you go when the weight of systemic racism and economic inequality in the US makes you want to pack up, throw on some flip-flops, and head somewhere you can finally breathe. Why Costa Rica? Simple. It's like that friend who always makes you feel at ease. The cost of living? Affordable. The landscapes? Jaw-droppingly beautiful. Picture yourself waking up in a house with a view of lush rainforests, volcanoes, or a beach that doesn't look real. Costa Rica's Pura Vida lifestyle isn't just a slogan, it's a whole mindset. Life moves at a slower pace, and that's exactly what you'll need when you're trading the daily grind for a peaceful, nature-filled existence. Now, let's get to the part where you can stop worrying about the price tag. In Costa Rica, a solid standard of living doesn't come with the heart attack-inducing price of rent or bills that most of us deal with back home. Your dollar stretches farther than you'd think. Housing? Check. Healthcare? Top-notch and affordable. Have you ever looked at healthcare costs in the US and thought, is this what I'm paying for? In Costa Rica, it's a completely different world where universal healthcare is available and relatively inexpensive. But beyond the numbers, What really seals the deal is how welcoming the country is for Black Americans. There's a significant expat community here, and many have found that Costa Rica's acceptance and lack of racial tension make it a refreshing change. Here's the thing. If you're tired of always having to prove your worth or dealing with microaggressions at every corner, Costa Rica offers a completely different environment. It's not that racism doesn't exist, it's that it doesn't seem to take the front seat in everyday life. Costa Rica has a more laid-back approach to cultural diversity, and that's exactly the space Black Americans are looking for. You'll also find a culture that values community, family, and just chilling out. How many times have you wished you could just stop the world for a moment and catch your breath? In Costa Rica, it's built into the culture. The locals are some of the friendliest people you'll meet, and they'll invite you into their communities with open arms. Plus, the expat scene is thriving, with people from all over the world calling Costa Rica home. So, if you're a digital nomad or remote worker, you're definitely not alone. Let's not forget the natural beauty of Costa Rica. Whether you're into hiking, surfing, or just staring at a sunset that looks like a painting, the country offers so much to explore. And the best part? You get to do all of this while living affordably and without feeling like you're sacrificing quality. So are you ready to live a life where the only thing you need to worry about is whether to go to the beach or the rainforest today? Costa Rica's waiting for you. It's more than just a vacation spot. It's a place to start fresh, live well, and actually enjoy life. Number 4, Canada. Canada might just be the cooler neighbor you've always needed. It's right there, just across the border, but it's got a whole different vibe. Black Americans are increasingly choosing to make the move up north, and it's not just because the maple syrup is better, though it is. Canada has become a haven for those tired of the never-ending cycle of racism and economic inequality in the US. Want to live somewhere with diversity, opportunity, and a little more chill? Canada might be calling your name. Here's the thing. Canada isn't a perfect utopia. Racism still exists, but the way it's dealt with is drastically different. Many Black Americans report a different social dynamic once they step foot in cities like Toronto, Montreal, or Vancouver. These cities aren't just multicultural. They live and breathe it. In fact, Toronto is considered one of the most diverse cities in the world. You'll find Black communities that...
Yeah, I've been in Toronto. I've been up there. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. Not from what I hear from some Black Canadians, what they said about that, some of them said about Canada.
Have you ever looked at your pension statement and saw only $850 a month? Have you ever thought, how am I supposed to survive the rest of my life on this amount? In the US, $850 sometimes barely covers the rent for a small apartment, not including electricity, water, healthcare, food. But what if I told you, somewhere else in the world, with just $800 a month, you could become a legal permanent resident, receive full rights, no investment, no real estate purchase, no agent fees, no under-the-table payments? Would you believe it? Not a tourist visa, not temporary stay, but long-term residency, legally recognized, and all you need is to prove a small but stable income. That's it. In today's video, I'll walk you through 5 amazing countries where Americans don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to start a new life. Just an income certificate, sometimes just a few $100 a month, and you'll be welcomed as a real resident. Here, no one looks at your assets. No one asks, what did you use to do? They only care that you want to live peacefully and sincerely, and they offer you that chance. Are you ready? Are you ready to turn a small pension into a life full of freedom? A life full of meaning? Stay with me till the end, because each country opens a different door, but they all lead to one common place: freedom to reside, a life of value, and respect for you, as a person, not as a dollar amount. If you're looking for a way out of harsh living costs, endless bills, and invisible isolation in old age, this video is for you. And if you find this information valuable, hit like if you've ever felt trapped in the system, and
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on getting you the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to
subscribe to Discover Top 10 so you won't miss the next amazing destinations waiting for you. Five, Ecuador, where every dream begins with transparency. Have you ever wondered if with just $800 a month, you could legally live for life in another country, where no one judges you, no one checks the assets you own, and personal freedom is the most sacred value? Sounds like a dream? Number, that's Ecuador. Where you don't need to invest millions, don't need to pay under-the-table fees, and definitely don't need anyone to guide you through shady back doors. Ecuador doesn't promise anything too good to be true. Ecuador is transparent, kind, and sincere. In the US, if you want to gain legal residency without marriage or sponsorship, the only real option is an investor visa, which requires $250,000 or even $1 million, and waiting 1 to 2 years, not to mention lawyer fees, paperwork, processing time, and the constant fear of denial. But in Ecuador, it's completely different. All you need is $800 per month from a pension or Social Security, something millions of older Americans already qualify for. And you can apply for a retirement visa. No additional investment required. No one forces you to buy property. No agents. No hidden fees. You submit your application, wait 2 to 3 weeks, and you'll receive a long-term visa, renewable, leading toward permanent residency. And even after a few years, you can apply for citizenship if you choose. The story I'll never forget is about Linda, a 67-year-old woman who used to be an accountant in Cleveland. She once said, "I was tired of having to count every dollar just to survive each month." In the US, she didn't dare eat out, didn't dare leave the heat on for too long. Then she moved to Cuenca, Ecuador. She rented an apartment for $350 a month, ate healthy with cheap fresh vegetables from the market, and for the first time in 15 years, she traveled on a long-distance bus for just a few dollars. In the US, I survived, she said. Here, I live. Ecuador isn't just a cheap place. It's a place where a person's worth isn't measured by their assets, but by kindness and freedom. You can get healthcare for just 1/10 of what it costs in the US. A private doctor visit? Only $30. Public health insurance through IEESS for foreigners? About $79 a month. And if you're over 65, you get a 50% discount on airfare, buses, utilities, and many other services. In Ecuador, you don't have to buy the right to live. You just have to prove you can live simply, steadily, and sincerely. The required documents? Just a few clear ones. Proof of pension income, a valid passport, bank statements, a health certificate, and a rental contract. That's it. You wake up early in the morning, open the window to a valley covered in mist, and the sound of birds singing. No more honking horns. No more skyrocketing electric bills. Just peace. And the best part is, no one asks you, where are you from? How much money do you have? What did you used to do for a living? Here, you are a part of life. Personal freedom is not a privilege. It's a given. However, don't expect Ecuador to operate like a miniature version of the US. Here, paperwork and public services don't run on urgency. Sometimes, you might have to wait a whole morning just to get a stamp. Not because of incompetence, but because life here is naturally slow, relaxed. If you're used to the precision and speed of the American system, you might need to learn how to be patient and smile. So, if I asked you, would you choose to keep paying $2,000 a month just to survive in a shabby apartment in the US suburbs? Or would you begin a new life, gentle, legal, and full of dignity, with just $800 in Ecuador? Share in the comments. What would you choose if this were your life? And don't go away, because the next country, Paraguay, is a place where just a single financial certificate can grant you legal residency. It's so simple that almost no one believes it, but it's true. Four, Paraguay, where permanent residency is a right, not a privilege reserved for the elite. Can you believe it? Just one paper confirming you have 5 million guarani in a bank account, about $700 is enough to be granted legal permanent residency in Paraguay. No age requirement, no job requirement, no need to prove monthly income. Just once, one local bank statement, and you're eligible for long-term residency in one of the most peaceful countries in South America. Paraguay doesn't glamorize itself. It doesn't advertise as a paradise, but that's exactly why what it offers is so trustworthy. Here, everything is clear and transparent. No hidden fees, no real estate pressure from brokers, no lawyers charging $10,000 for paperwork. You submit your own application, you're clearly guided, and then you become a legal permanent resident. That's why Paraguay was once called the easiest country in the world to gain residency. I once met a man named James, 58 years old, living in Arkansas. After a car accident that left him unable to work full-time, he was left with about $10,000 in savings and $850 per month in
However it is, whatever the occasion.
and $850 per month in Social Security. In the US, that amount had him bouncing between cheap motels. In Paraguay, he opened a local bank account, applied for permanent residency, and was approved in just 45 days.
Damn.
Now he lives in the outskirts of Luque, in a small brick house he rents for $230 a month. And he grows tomatoes, he reads books, and he says he's never felt such peace in his life. Paraguay is not loud. This country operates slowly, modestly. But behind that humility is a wide open door for those who need a second chance, without being forced to be wealthy. The cost of living here is extremely low. A single adult living simply only needs around $500 to $600 per month. A basic restaurant meal costs less than $3. A long-distance bus ride is around $1 to $2. While the healthcare system isn't as modern as in developed countries, with a small amount of money, you can still see a private doctor, buy medicine, and take care of your basic health, without the fear of going bankrupt like in the US. Personal freedom in Paraguay is also respected. There are no strict residency requirements. You can come and go as often as you want, as long as you maintain your residency. In fact, if you stay in Paraguay for 3 consecutive years, you can apply for citizenship and become a citizen. But you should also know, Paraguay isn't for everyone. Internet in rural areas is slow, public services can be sluggish, and if you don't speak Spanish, you might feel isolated in your first few months. Not everyone smiles when you speak English. There isn't a large expat community like in Ecuador or Mexico. However, if you're someone who enjoys peace, wants to live on a low budget, and doesn't need much socializing, Paraguay is a simple but powerful gift. So, if you could live your whole life for the cost of an iPhone, in a country that doesn't force you to prove anything except honesty, would you be ready to try a new life? Share your thoughts about Paraguay. Are you ready to step into a land where less might actually mean enough? And don't go anywhere. The next country, the Philippines, will surprise you. With just a small bank deposit, you can live in the tropical breeze and be granted a long-term visa on day 1. 3. Philippines. A paradise in the ocean where just $800 and a bit of transparency grants you permanent residency. No need to buy property, no need to lie. Have you ever stood by the sea, watching the blazing red sunset slowly melt into the water, and silently thought, if only I could live here forever. I once thought that, in the Philippines, not because of the beautiful scenery, not because of the grilled seafood or the radiant smiles of the locals, but because it was the first time I saw a country genuinely invite retirees to stay long term, as long as you have a modest, honest income. The Philippines hides nothing. No tricks with hidden conditions, no requirement to buy property, no need to invest at all if you already have a pension. They say it plainly. If you're over 50, have an $800 per month pension, and $10,000 deposited in a Philippine bank, you can apply for the SRRV, Special Resident Retiree Visa, which allows permanent residency in the Philippines, with no renewals, no time limits. This is truly a policy for retirees, not a retirement in name only program used to attract investors. To be honest, I was used to being skeptical. In the US, I faced hundreds of application forms, endless regulations, and the coldness of the immigration system. Here, when I applied for the SRRV, everything was clearly listed on the official website of the PRA, Philippine Retirement Authority. Nothing was vague. You know exactly what to prepare, where to submit, and who is handling your case. And you receive results within a few weeks to a few months, depending on your application. Not the never-ending wait like the EB-5 in the US. I had prepared a valid passport, a pension verification letter, SSA, a medical certificate, a police clearance, passport-sized photos, and proof of $10,000 deposited into a PRA bank account. That was enough. You might ask, what's free about a visa that requires a deposit? Because once you have the SRRV, you don't have to apply for annual visa renewals, don't have to worry about visa expiration, and you're not required to leave the Philippines just to refresh your paperwork like in many other countries. You can stay as long as you want, 1 year, 10 years, a lifetime. You're exempt from tax on certain personal items, you get discounts on certain healthcare and tourism services, and you get to live like a true resident, not a tourist clinging to a short-term visa. Cost of living? Almost too cheap to believe. I rent a one-bedroom apartment in Cebu for $280 per month, have dinner at a beachfront restaurant for just $5, and take a taxi for under $3 per ride. Private health insurance here? $50 to $100 per month, and most doctors speak English. But let me remind you of this. The public healthcare system in the Philippines is not strong. If you expect US-level quality, you'll be disappointed. That's why private insurance is almost mandatory if you want high-quality treatment. Also, you'll need to get used to a very slow pace of life, which may feel like paradise if you enjoy relaxation, but a nightmare if you need everything on time and to the minute. Are you ready to trade speed and convenience for peace and permanent residency? Tell me, if you could live in a tropical country with a legal visa on just $800 a month, would you say yes to a new journey? Don't take your eyes off the screen, because the next country, Panama, not only offers easy permanent residency, but also discounts on electricity, water, airline tickets, and even hospital bills, exclusively for retirees like you. 2. Panama. In Panama, with just a minimum pension, you can live like royalty, discounts everywhere, full support, and you're never asked to leave. They used to live in Arizona, in the dry, humid heat, buried under hospital bills and sleepless nights, calculating how much money was left for the coming week. Richard, 72 years old, a retired engineer, and his wife, Linda, had retired early due to arthritis. They lived on $1,800 a month in Social Security. In the US, that was barely enough for a small apartment, medication, and cheap food. But in Panama, it became their ticket to a life they never thought they could have. Panama has a special visa program called the Pensionado, the retirement visa. If you have a fixed income from a pension or US Social Security, at least $1,000 per month, you qualify to apply for long-term residency. Yes, just $1,000 a month. No need to invest in real estate, no hidden fees, no forced use of agents. You just need stable income, a confirmation letter from Social Security, and a few clear documents. If you own a small home in Panama, the requirement drops even lower, to just $750 a month. And when you arrive in Panama with your retirement visa, you don't just gain the right to stay. You'll realize you've just been handed a privileged life that few other places in the world can offer. Your electricity, water, and phone bills suddenly drop by a quarter, and you didn't even have to negotiate. You book a flight, and they give you up to 50% off, just because you're retired. You visit a doctor, and you're surprised to see your bill is 20% lower than the person sitting next to you. Even if you don't have insurance, hospitals still deduct 15% off your hospital stay. A quiet thank you for the years you spent working. And in the evenings, when you want to go to the movies, visit a museum, or enjoy a meal at your favorite restaurant, you'll find that everywhere, there's a space reserved just for you. And prices are always as soft as the voices of Panamanians. Warm, unhurried, full of respect. You don't have to ask. You don't have to negotiate. You just need to live. When Richard and Linda moved to Panama City, they rented a modern 2-bedroom apartment for just $850 a month, right near a bus stop and shopping mall. They dined out at least 3 times a week, took taxis as often as they wanted, and still managed to save a few $100s each month. Something almost unthinkable on the same income in the US. I once asked them, "Do you feel like you lost anything by leaving the US?" Linda laughed. "Yes. I lost the chance to know about Panama sooner." Of course, Panama isn't perfect. Public services can be slow at times. Some suburbs may be unsafe, especially at night. And if you don't speak Spanish, you might feel a little isolated in the first few weeks. But if you're looking for a place to live out the rest of your life peacefully, worry-free, and with dignity, Panama might just be the answer you've been looking for. Have you ever lived in a place where just being yourself and
I'm going to show you the next video right quick. Just in case you want to consider going. Austin Holloman got
save money and enjoy.
So the crackdown has begun on dual citizens around the world. Today I'm going to tell you guys exactly what expats need to know about having dual citizenship according to new practices and laws around the world. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and let's get into it. So dual citizenship used to be the expat cheat code. 2 passports, 2 homes, 2 chances at freedom. But now in 2025, governments around the world, like the United States and Australia, are coming after dual passport holders. Tax laws are tightening and travel rights are being questioned. And if you're an American abroad, this may hit you first. So what's happening right now, in the past 7 days, I've been seeing headlines that made me want to do this video for dual citizens to stop and think. So something that's interesting, if you are in Australia and you have dual citizenship, they are now proposing a bill that will allow Australia to strip dual citizenship for somebody that is conflicting the national interests of Australia. In my home country, the United States, the IRS is expanding its crackdown on Americans that have undisclosed foreign assets, especially those with second passports. They are also launching audits, seizing bank records, and reviving penalties under FATCA. Germany and France are introducing new security screening for dual citizens leaving and exiting the Schengen zone, citing concerns about espionage and divided loyalty to the European Union. Across the board, governments are no longer treating dual citizens as privileged citizens, but a legal gray zone. Dual citizenship is no longer about protection from instability, but it's now becoming a trap. So why are countries doing this? Number one, billions of dollars are being hidden overseas and governments are broke and want that cash back from their citizens. Just like the United States introduced the worldwide taxation thing, other places like France and Australia are starting to do the same thing. So it may not be as beneficial to get a dual citizenship from those other first world countries, but we'll also get into how some non-first world countries are doing the same thing. Second is loyalty. In the age of war, terrorism, and digital espionage, governments want to know who do you stand with, what side are you on, and having a dual citizenship can be seen as being a spy. And we also don't know where the political situation is going around the world. So depending on what citizenship you have or even residency you may have in another country, you could be seen as a spy, as we've seen during the Cold War. Which leads me into my next point, which is a power shift. Now we're seeing the United States losing its grip on the world as the world dominating nation, the world superpower. So these countries want less of a split alliance between their citizens. For example, during the Ukraine war, Russian and EU dual citizens had their assets seized and movement restricted around the continent. Now, how does this affect you if you're an expat? Number one, if you are a U.S. citizen living abroad, you, number one, as always, still have to file U.S. taxes. You may face increased scrutiny from both governments of both citizenships that you hold, United States and whatever other country that you pick. And your foreign bank accounts could be flagged by the United States, which means that they're getting further into your business, as I've said before. If you want to get a second passport, many countries around the world are reconsidering citizenship by investment program. Processing times are becoming slower and the due diligence is getting way more intense than it's ever been before. The worst of it all, some countries around the world have been doing this, but more countries are considering making U.S. citizens renounce their U.S. citizenship to have the second citizenship. So for example, if you want a Paraguayan citizenship as an American, you cannot just get citizenship there. You would have to, of course, go through the residency program, but then you would have to renounce your U.S. citizenship to get a Paraguayan citizenship. Now let's read some real world examples of these implements of dual citizenship being under scrutiny recently. The first example is a Kenyan American businessman was detained while traveling through an East African country that neighbored Kenya. Why did this happen? Border officials flagged him as being suspicious due to his dual nationality and American ties. The second example is a Canadian American woman living in Portugal had her U.S. bank accounts frozen without warning. What was the issue? She didn't report income earned abroad even though she was paying taxes locally in Portugal. The third example is a Nigerian-German dual citizen was denied consular protection while detained overseas. Germany claimed that they could not intervene to help him even though he was a citizen because he entered the country using his Nigerian passport, which pretty much holds no protection around the world if you have a Nigerian passport. I don't think too many Americans would want to get a second citizenship in Nigeria for that reason. You can't even travel around most African countries, so I can imagine how this went for him. Now, these stories are warnings. Governments are becoming more selective about who they help, defend, and even recognize. And in many cases, you won't realize you're in target until it's too late. Now, how can you still protect yourself with these new practices being made? Now, obviously, if you are an American, you want to file your taxes annually. Do it religiously. You don't always have to pay a lot of taxes, but make sure you always file taxes. Even if you fit under the foreign earned income exclusion, which you should if you're a full-time expat, and you pay $0 in taxes, don't think just because, since I don't owe anything, I'm not going to file. That is the stupidest thing you could do. Because what the United States will do is they will fine you. You can't hide your income unless if you're doing all cash, right? So they will fine your income and they will just take the gross amount and tax it as if that was your net profit. They're not going to go through and do your expenses for you. For example, if you earned $100,000 in 2024, you decided that you were not going to file taxes, and let's say after your deductions, you probably only profited $10,000. The United States is not going to, the IRS is not going to, they don't give a damn. They're going to say, okay, you made $100,000, you failed to file, so we're going to tax you at this rate for $100,000 in net profit. They will do that. Remember, the United States taxes you on citizenship, not residency. Just because you move to another country does not mean that you fall out of the U.S. tax system. The worst thing that can happen is if you skip a year on filing taxes, they can literally freeze your accounts, revoke your passport, or even worse, put you in prison. Number two, learn the citizenship laws of both countries that you belong to. Some countries like Japan, India, Singapore don't even allow dual citizenship, and you could be breaking the law without even knowing it, which is seriously important. And just like India, Singapore, and Japan, those same countries could revoke your citizenship without trial. And one thing a lot of people don't understand is even if you become a naturalized citizen or you were not born in a country and you obtain citizenship in another country, you can have your citizenship revoked. Like the stuff that Donald Trump is doing to the immigrants in the United States, you're not a true American because you were not born there. You don't have American blood. And if you went to the United States and you naturalized and became a citizen, you can get your citizenship revoked and you will be back to being a Kenyan or back to being in Australia, whatever you were before. And other countries can do the same thing. So don't ever think that you can always keep your U.S. citizenship or another citizenship just because you got to that point. You can always lose that. It's happened many times in the history before. Number 3, hire an immigration attorney or expat consultant before applying for a second passport. It's no longer a do-it-yourself process. Background checks, source of funds, and tax records will all be examined. And yes, you do need an expert for this. If you click the link in the first pinned comment in the description, I have 2 experts from Australia and one from Paraguay. They're both Americans. One is American, one is Australian. They are experts. They've helped many people. They've helped dozens of people invest overseas, get dual citizenship, residencies abroad. Click the link in the first pinned comment or description. They've helped dozens of people around the world get dual citizenship, invest overseas, get residencies in places like Paraguay, in places like Georgia. Anywhere around the world, these guys can help you. Just click that link in the first pinned comment or description and I'll get you referred to those people so you can get your plan set up today. Number 4, it's very important. Declare and structure your foreign bank accounts properly. If you hold crypto, PayPal, or digital assets, always declare them. These things like Coinbase, PayPal, they always send you, or even Fidelity, they always send you a 1099K, or they send you some sort of document at the end of the year to show that, hey, you do need to add this to your U.S. taxes. You do need to file this. And don't think that the United States government doesn't know. Like, if they want to know, they know everything. We live in 2025, not 1925. Maybe back in 1925 you could hide from that. You cannot hide at all. And you can't hide today, especially not from the United States. Now, this may be controversial to some people, but consider getting a permanent residency in another country and not citizenship. For example, like Paraguay. You would have to renounce your U.S. citizenship in order to become a Paraguayan citizen, but you can still get many of the same benefits with permanent residency. Residency gives you legal rights to live abroad without the political entanglements of being a citizen from that country, and you can also stay flexible and avoid renunciation, as I said before, and still have access to banking, healthcare, and the ability to do business in that country. And for example, in a place like Paraguay, you can literally get citizenship. South America is the best for residencies. Asia, most of Asia, from my understanding, and Africa are like some of the worst for getting residencies. For example, here in Kenya, if you want to get residency, it could be the same thing as getting it in Paraguay, but here, for me being under 35, it's $6,000 for 2 years. In a place like Paraguay, it's $1,500 for 2 years. I don't know, this is a trend across the continent of Africa for them charging so much, but yeah, there needs to be, for there to be more foreign investment, it would be ideal for the African and Asian governments to make it a little easier for people to come and become residents of those countries. But something that's even better for people that don't want a work visa, you can now get a digital nomad visa here in Kenya for $1,500 a year, which is a very good deal, way better than that $6,000 that they were talking about before. So there still is hope, and it does look like they're moving in the right direction when it comes to bringing in more foreigners for residency. The bottom line is you don't need to give up your expat life. You just have to play the game smarter. In my opinion, I think residencies is the way to go now. So my take as an expat living here in Kenya, I used to think that dual citizenships or second passports was an insurance policy, but now I see that it can become a target on your back here in the future, especially with the geopolitical landscape of the world, with things how it's going now with the United States losing its dominance on the world stage. Governments are not looking at expats as assets anymore, but potential liabilities to the country, which in many cases they are. But if you stay informed, stay compliant, you can still win in the game of expat life. We are now living in the era of global control versus personal freedom. As I said before, if you guys are looking to get a dual citizenship or a residency, I have 2 verified, and one of them has actually been on my channel before. I'll put a link in the description I'll put the video up here for you guys to go watch that video. The Australian guy that I interviewed named Johnny a couple months ago. He is actually a guy that is an expert at getting you dual citizenship and passports, and I have 2 sources of these. And if you would like to speak to these people, I will give you the direct referral. Make sure you tell them I also sent you.
Okay, shout out to Austin for getting that information. I wanted to say was that so those who are over 35, I don't know if that still applied, but maybe you can contact this page, and for the people who's 35 and under, whoever see this video, and you're an expat that is a digital nomad or have business, whatever, you go over there and take his advice. But if you think about leaving this time of the year, and just probably would be time to go. I mean, do it while you can, but if you have some type of income, like 2 or 3 streams of income, whatever, I think that would probably be the best thing to do too. And you can have at least 2 or 3. Just have a backup just in case something go wrong or go down or whatever. But yeah, sometimes, particularly, and this can go for anybody, but particularly, for black people, maybe it's time to make, if you have the funds, maybe it's the time you're able to make that move just to get away from this tension climate and just be able to travel just like some of the other people do. Sometimes you have to come out your comfort zone. But I think that would be the wise thing. But yeah, whole shout out to Virtual O'Brien, Austin Holloman, and Discover for the very good information on travel. Even for those who are up in their age, that's something good to know. So hopefully you enjoy this video. It's very informative for people that just want a better life, and maybe you can put your funds together, because man, it might get to that direction, because the way they cut things now, they're trying to gut certain programs now here in America, even when it comes to healthcare. I mean, especially for those who have, like you see, if you go overseas, probably get some private insurance, because you can't use Medicaid over there. I don't think you can, but because they're about to cut Medicaid here in America. I mean, and I think some, disabled and probably some senior citizens gonna get their Medicaid get canceled, which is crazy, man. So, and that's the one that really takes care of everything. They just saw a law that I guess they try and penalize California for having all the illegal people on Medicaid, so they threaten to cut billions of dollars from them. So it's getting hectic. I don't know how other countries is as far as their Medicaid, but I think that universal health care, that I wish we can do that here, man. I mean, and the government takes, their government takes care of all. Because we live in a capitalistic society that's just, it's either you take the medication or you be able to eat. It's like, it's getting to that point. It's getting worse. And ever since Donald Trump went crazy with these tariffs and everything, and with the economy, look where it's going. So you got some kind of investment in online business or something, or have something, you might want to do like some people do. Maybe you can start making plans on leaving the country. I mean, because it seems like it's not going to get any better for the next couple of years. I mean, if I had the funds, I think I'll do it. I mean, and it's just stressed out overall, and it's not good on people's health. And it's one thing you have to worry about, and it's just the mental part of it, and it's just that they're making it harder and worse than anything. But yeah, just get out of it. But just for the racial part and political part, man, just get up on high, get yourself healed up, and travel. hopefully, you have some friends or family want to go. You know, you know, that's the best way to solve that. Sometimes you gotta have a different change. People are scared of change. I know that. I have people in my family. I think, and some friends, I don't think that some people, associates I know, they don't want to change. They want to stay stuck and complaining the same thing. Sometimes God has to shake the nest for people to come out of that comfort zone. And sometimes it just, to get to an area where you can feel at ease. And maybe it costs to make some sacrifice. So, just, right now I need some more dental work. Who knows? If I was probably in another country, I'd probably get it done. Here, it's just without the proper the insurance, it's outrageous to get just get some dental done, or any other thing done. So, let alone physical and all the other problems that they have here. So yeah, so for the people up in their their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, go for it, man. What you got to lose? And for the 20 some 30 or 40-year-olds, hey, do what you got to do. I mean, anything's better than this bull crap. Just, I hope this encourages somebody. That's why you see so many people going away. They go away and they come back refreshed, eating probably I believe with the kind of food we have here and the atmosphere, and it's like it constantly keeps you bloated or keeps you. I mean you can change your diet, of course, but then you got stuff in your water, you got stuff in your atmosphere, you got these flying stuff over you, making you wonder why you're coughing all the time, and it's just crazy. But anyway, alright then, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. Till next time, share it. Shout out to all the content creators for good information for people that want to get out of the country and just get a break away from this crazy climate. Alright then, take care, be blessed. See you on the next video.